A person wearing a tan cowboy hat and glasses stands at a podium on a small stage. Another person in similar attire stands nearby. A third person with red hair and a red headpiece is visible in the background. A person wearing a tan ranger uniform and wide-brimmed hat stands at a podium, hand raised to their face. Behind them are flags including red and blue banners. Other people are seated and standing in an indoor venue. Several people wearing tan ranger hats and gray uniforms stand in front of various flags, including the American flag. A person in a light blue shirt stands on an elevated platform behind them. The setting appears to be an indoor venue. Several people stand under a tent structure near flags including a white and yellow flag, a dark blue flag, and a light blue flag. A person in a blue shirt stands in the center as others sit nearby wearing tan-colored hats. A person wearing a tan hat and light-colored shirt stands near several flags, including a blue flag with red and white stripes. The setting appears to be indoors with a ceiling visible above.
Thank you. You may be seated. And I'm declaring this an inside zone, so you may also uncover. Good evening and welcome to the Tent of Many Voices of the Corps of Discovery 2.
A person in an olive green jacket stands at a wooden podium holding a microphone, surrounded by multiple international flags including the American flag. A wooden cross is visible behind the podium.
200 years to the future. I'm Steve Adams, Superintendent of the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail. Again, welcome. We have a number of speakers that I'll introduce to you in a little while, but I want to say first that you heard a couple of different songs, one for the presentation of the flags, and another song that honors all of the partners that are involved in this bicentennial effort. So if we could have a big round of applause for the singers and drummers.
A person in light-colored clothing stands among several tall flags displayed indoors, including flags with red and white sections and yellow designs. Other people are visible in the background near what appears to be a stage or presentation area.
It's time to take a deep breath. Let this settle in a little bit. This tent, the Tent of Many Voices, so aptly named by former Superintendent of the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail, Gerard Baker. Gerard has certainly nailed that name. And I want to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen with this exhibit. In a couple of days, it's going to go down to Haskell Indian Nations University. It will find its home there, and we hope they get a lot of good use out of it. One of the things I'd like to point out is that over time, we tend to look at these bits of vinyl and metal and lights and electronics and such as something more than what they are. And that's okay, but what I would like to give you a little bit of context for some of the presentations that will occur is that all of you collectively have transcended these bits and pieces. And the Tent of Many Voices is now in our hearts. So it's going to find a good home. What we have asked our speakers to talk about tonight is the value, meaning, and significance of the Corps of Discovery 2 to the organization that they represent, to the bicentennial, and to the country.
A person in a gray jacket stands at a microphone holding papers, surrounded by colorful flags and banners hanging in an indoor space. They appear to be giving a presentation or speech.
And first I want to start with Kevin Chrysler, who is our Corps 2 Field Manager.
I'll try to make it through this.
A person in a tan uniform shirt holds a microphone while standing among various flags displayed indoors, including the American flag and several state and tribal flags.
As I thought over the last week, trying to figure out
A person in a white shirt stands at a wooden podium on a stage, speaking to an audience seated in front. Multiple colorful flags hang on a line behind the stage. Wooden benches hold attendees watching the presentation.
As I've thought about what Core Discovery 2 has meant, Steve made a good point that these pieces of vinyl, this tent, that's not Core Discovery 2. Everyone here this evening is Core of Discovery 2.
A person in a ranger uniform stands holding the American flag among a display of international flags. An audience of several people sits facing the stage in what appears to be an indoor venue.
This tent has simply been the place where we've had our family reunion, if you will. Some of us have discovered new family. And some have discovered family that we forgot we had. Our federal agency partners, we've learned to work better with them. Thank you. Our Native American brothers and sisters that we, over the last couple of hundred years, sort of forgot about and marginalized.
A person stands at a wooden podium speaking to an audience seated indoors. Multiple colorful flags hang behind them, including the American flag. Audience members face the speaker in a formal presentation setting.
Rediscovered you all, and it's good to find our brothers and sisters and our cousins, and it's good that we had a chance to meet and talk. We talked a lot in this tent. We talked a lot outside the tent. One of the biggest things that Core of Discovery 2 is an opportunity to talk, an opportunity to listen. As is said in our report to the President, some of those conversations were hard to talk about, and some of them were hard for us as audience to hear, but they were all worth it. And
a person in a tan ranger uniform holds a microphone while standing before several flags, including an American flag and a yellow and black eagle design flag, in an indoor setting.
I think that we've done a good thing here. And I thank you all for your help in making that happen.
Nobody told you it'd be easy, Kevin. Before I introduce our next speaker, I want to recognize Superintendent Peggy Odell.
A person in a dark jacket stands at a wooden podium, holding papers and speaking to a seated audience. Multiple international flags hang behind them in an indoor venue. Several audience members are visible in the foreground.
From Jefferson National Expansion Memorial, thank you, Peggy, for being such a great host for us here and for sharing with us. Our representative from the Bureau of Land Management, Mr. Dick Fichtler.
Oh, boy. Man, what a ride it's been. Holy cow. And I thought I was going to have a podium so I could hide these notes. So bear with me. As you read the Lewis and Clark journals from 200 years ago,
A person in a white jacket stands at a wooden podium on a small stage, surrounded by flags from various nations and tribes hanging on both sides.
you will see the evolution of a closely knit team as the Corps Discovery worked their way up the lower Missouri River. By the time the expedition reached the Mandan villages in the spring of 1805, there was a great cohesiveness that bound every individual to the whole. When the expedition returned to the Mandan villages in 1806, the word team didn't quite work anymore. Captain Clark had offered to raise Birdwoman and Charbonneau's children. It seemed to me a more appropriate term at that point would be family. So it has been for Corps Discovery 2, 200 years later. And the timeline is remarkable. For myself, as we wrapped up the Circle of Culture's signature event in Bismarck, North Dakota on a cold day in the fall of 2004, I really felt like those barriers that sometimes we superficially impose between agencies and people were crumbling away. And by the spring of 2005, as we worked our way up the upper Missouri, that river washed all that away. And we really did become a team, regardless of agencies, regardless of background. We really kind of clicked. And it was this last year, as we worked our way back to St. Louis, that team didn't work anymore. It really was a family.
A person wearing glasses and a white shirt stands at a microphone, holding it with one hand. They are positioned in front of several flags, including an American flag on the right and what appears to be a Native American tribal flag on the left.
And I'll carry you all in my hearts for the rest of my life. So, as with many American families, we're about to spread ourselves across this great nation as we each seek a new path. But we take with us the knowledge of how it can be between agencies, communities, organizations, and individuals. And for myself, I'll never forget that. And I want to speak kind of to my agency brothers and sisters at this point. For folks like myself that are getting kind of gray and maybe a little thin on top, it's our responsibility to guide our agencies and organizations on the path that will perpetuate this kind of cooperation and collaboration. For the younger folks that are just starting their careers, I ask you, when you hear somebody of my age saying it can't be done, to ask why not. You've seen it. You know how it works. You know it can be done. And you're our future. So carry that with you, and we'll all be better off for it. And my mind is going blank. I look at these faces, and all I want to do is just hit the trail again. And you know, as we think about
A person wearing a feathered headpiece and beaded vest sits among an audience in a gymnasium or large indoor space. Multiple flags from different nations and tribes hang on the wall behind them.
these obligations, either for the older ones of us to try to guide our agencies on the right path, and for the future and the younger folks that are now entering the workforce, as they try to do what they can to shape our future, we want to keep in mind that the citizens of this country have a right to expect that of us. We are, after all, your servants. So as we leave this tent of many voices tonight, we will each start down a new path. Never forget that that new path is linked to the Lewis and Clark Trail. For that is the nature of trails. Trails connect places, they connect people, and they connect the past to the future.
Multiple flags in red, white, and other colors are displayed on stands in front of a wooden structure with text engraved on it. A person stands partially visible in the background.
And in so doing, they make us better individuals and a stronger country. I made it.
Take those deep breaths. Our next speaker, before I tell you who he is, you may have noticed that there aren't too many animals wandering around here. And that's because Steve Morehouse from the Bureau of Reclamation has cooked them up. And you've been
A person in glasses and an olive-colored jacket with buttons speaks into a microphone, surrounded by multiple flags on stands in what appears to an indoor venue.
eating them. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Morehouse from the Bureau of Reclamation.
I have to take a minute to look out there, and then I won't be nervous because I'll see that they're all my friends, people that I've met along the trail. Hello again. Welcome. One last time here in the tent. The commissioner for the Bureau of Reclamation, the agency that I work for, John Keyes, sent me out to partner with the Corps of Discovery 2. I was supposed to come and work alongside them, interpret, and learn. And partner up.
A person wearing a tan jacket and a brown woven hat with geometric patterns holds a microphone and speaks while standing among colorful flags in an indoor space.
With the Corps of Discovery 2, and ended up partnering up with everybody I met along the trail. This is the end of my federal career, and I couldn't think of a better way to end it. This was a dream of mine. I moved to Montana in 1980 so I could live on the Lewis and Clark Trail. And I've been learning the story, and I'm still learning. And it's a partnership.
A person wearing a tan jacket and a woven, cone-shaped hat stands indoors surrounded by various colored flags and banners. They appear to be speaking or presenting.
And the friendships that I've made with everybody along the way that have kept me going. And the biggest partner is here with me tonight, and that's my wife and my son and my daughter and my future daughter-in-law.
A crowd of people gathers under a tent structure. In the foreground, a person wearing a feathered headdress and beaded clothing stands among the seated audience. Other attendees in various clothing sit and stand around the tent.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the things that you have taught me along the way, and I will continue to learn. And I realize that what I've learned, it's not mine to keep. I promise you that I will pass it on to the next generation. Thank you.
And if you've ever watched Steve around a bunch of little kids, you know that he is passing that on. Thank you, Steve. From the U.S. Forest Service, a person who walks more miles standing still than I can walk in a day, actually going somewhere, Margaret Gorski.
Thank you, Steve. Those of you who have gotten to know me I'm better at stirring the pot during bureaucratic meetings than I am speeches in front of all of you fine folks. And I'm honored and privileged to have been asked to say a few words about how this bicentennial has meant.
A person in a white polo shirt and yellow headband holds a microphone while standing in front of multiple hanging flags representing different nations and tribes. They appear to be speaking at an indoor event.
And the Corps too is meant to me personally as well as to the Forest Service, and I'm afraid whoever gave Kevin that Kleenex is going to have to give me some before I can get through this. But when Jefferson asked Lewis to go up the river and see what he could find, I'm sure he didn't know what he was getting into. And in 1998, when my boss came to me and asked me to head up the Forest Service's involvement in the bicentennial, I certainly didn't know what I was getting into when I said, that sounds like an interesting assignment. And really, in hindsight, my journey, both personal and professional, began even earlier than that with an experience that I want to share with you. I was standing at the top of, or the highest place.
A person in a white shirt and blue pants stands among multiple flags representing different nations and states, with an American flag prominently displayed on the right side of the frame.
Place on the Lewis and Clark Trail. They're on the Lolo Trail. And I was in a place that's a sacred place to the Nez Perce tribe. And I was new to Idaho. I had just recently arrived there from California, and I was learning about that country. And I was standing at that height in an outer circle, in and around a circle of Nez Perce elders. And they were having a smoking ceremony with the Forest Service. We were trying to build relationships and rebuild relationships with the Nez Perce tribe. And I was standing there listening to the words from the tribal elders. And that was my first lesson about what it means to speak from your heart about what the land means to you. And as a steward of national forests and public lands, it was a lesson that I have taken with me the rest of my career, because I heard these elders speak from their heart about how important the natural land.
A person in a white shirt and hat stands at a wooden podium, speaking to a seated audience in an indoor venue. Multiple flags from different nations and tribes hang on the wall behind them.
It is to our spirit as a people. And that experience about standing there looking over those mountains that were such a challenge to Lewis and Clark, and seeing them through other eyes, other people's eyes, and they were speaking from their heart. And so that was a lesson that really I have carried with me, and it guided basically my experience in leadership in trying to participate in the bicentennial. The Forest Service really did what we could and made a great effort of looking at that land and trying to protect the spiritual meaning of it. And so we had a great team, one of which, Katie Bump, is in the back. Those of you who knew her up at Lemhi Pass, she put her heart and her soul into protecting Lemhi Pass. Katie, will you stand up for me, please? And she is one of many of my team that really just poured their heart and soul out into doing what they can to protect the trail. And then we also tried to provide some speakers to Core 2. Is Marlene Rivero in the audience? She was here earlier. Where's Marlene? Marlene did a great job portraying Rose York, speaking from her heart and giving a viewpoint of what it might have been like to be a slave and a mother to York. So just a few of the folks that I wanted to acknowledge. But the importance of Core 2, which was another thing I was asked to say something about, is that Core 2 really was and I appreciate it's really not the stuff in here, it really was a catalyst. And it was a catalyst for every community that it went through. It was a catalyst to bring people together, and it was a catalyst to allow communities to celebrate their spirit of their community. And that really, those of you in the Park Service who brought Core 2 to town should be very proud of what you did in those communities. So I think these guys need a huge round of applause because of what they brought to communities across the country. And the last thought I want to leave with you is that when I travel around the trail, people ask me about, well, now the bicentennial's over, what are you going to do? Well, it's an easy one for me to say is that, well, the bicentennial's over, but the trail's not going anywhere. And that's the beauty of public lands, being a public land servant. So there is still